This week's pack is for the red wine lover in all of us, and I'm so excited to talk to you about this grape called Cabernet Sauvignon. So if you're not already familiar with it, Cabernet Sauvignon is a red grape. It tends to have a really dark color, almost like deep purple, sometimes like a dark ruby, and Cabernet Sauvignon is a really noble grape. I mean, it is one of the most sought after grapes, and it's a grape that all of us, or a lot of us, know and love. We know it by name. Further, a little bit more of a description is that Cabernet Sauvignon can be more of the black fruit style of grape. So it has blackberry or black plum or black cherry, and it tends to be a thick skin grape. And what that means is that Cabernet Sauvignon has a decent amount of tannin. And tannins are the drying sensation in our mouth, like we have a little, kind of no moisture, or sweater, it's a dustiness or a chewiness that you'll find in red wine. So that comes from the fact that Cabernet is so thick in skin, and you get a lot of color and a lot of tannin, which are perfect for fatty foods. Anyway, this week's pack, we wanted to try, yes, we need to show this beautiful California Cabernet, but you're also going to get a red Bordeaux. And if you don't know already, red Bordeaux is a region, or Bordeaux is a region where red wine is made from Cabernet blends, so Cabernet Sauvignon and Merlot. Then as well, I always find people that love Malbec. And the reason I think that they love Malbec is they're looking for a full-bodied red wine, similar to Cabernet, but maybe not quite as tannic. So we're sending you that. It has the same black fruit. And then last but not least, there's this juicy black fruit in this grape called Gamay. And in the region of Beaujolais, especially in this little town called Morgon, you're going to find the dusty tannins and a lot of that fruit. Maybe it's not as full-bodied, but it's definitely flavor-wise Cabernet. I can't wait for you to try these wines. Okay, let's get started. Jean-Ernest Descombes, that's the name of this wine. And this wine is from the region in France called Beaujolais. And further, it's from a little town called Morgon. For me, I love Beaujolais. I love the dark purple color. I love the deep intensity of the black rock that is found in this area. And this is a classic example of a grape, of a wine that has an intensity to it, just like you're looking for when you're a Cabernet drinker. So let's give this a try. So 2015, 100% Gamay grape. It's got so much of the intensity and flavor that I'm used to when I love drinking Cabernet Sauvignon. I mentioned already, it's kind of blackberry and black plums, cassis and cedar. The color is right. The mouthfeel is a little bit lighter in body, so it's certainly not big and rich and intense, but we'll get there throughout this pack. This wine is really just flavor-wise identical or very similar to Cabernet Sauvignon. What I love about this wine is it's a medium-bodied wine. It's got a nice fresh acidity. It's got tons of earthy stones and minerals, which are really often found in the old world wine producing regions. But yet the mouthfeel has a teeny little bit of dusty tannins, which make it, really appropriate, let's just say, for lighter cuts of red meat, maybe hanger steak and such like that. This wine is Château Moulin de la Bridane. And Moulin de la Bridane is a chateau or a winery that is located in a region of France called Bordeaux. And Bordeaux is one of the most famous regions where Cabernet Sauvignon and Cabernet Sauvignon Merlot blends have started. And this in particular is from a region called the Haut-Médoc. And so it's a Cabernet Sauvignon blend. So I really wanted to show you alternatives to Cabernet and then have kind of classic benchmarks of what is a great Cabernet Sauvignon or Cabernet Sauvignon blend taste like. And in this case, we are talking about the old world. We're talking about a region that has been making wine for thousands of years, a region who prides themselves on blending wine. And in this case, I think you find that classic deep black fruit that I was talking about. As far as Cabernet markers, it's black plum, a cassis, black currant, but this time it's a little less ripe. It's more of like a subtle, dusty quality. It's really much more about non-fruit than it is about fruit. But when you taste this wine, and when you smell it, it almost smells like roasted coffee beans or like pencil shaving. So I often think about the Haut-Médoc, this region, as being the finest in terms of quality for Cabernet-based wines. And so when you smell, it even has a slightly savory green component to it. And like wet forest floor, cedar, tobacco. Again, more medium bodied and really refreshing on the acid, and just a subtle little teeny dusty tannin that just really round out the wine and make it so amazing. Finca Monteflores is a beautiful Malbec, and this Malbec is from Mendoza in Argentina. So I finally figured out why people love Malbec. And I was wondering this for a long time. I think Malbec is one of the most popular and most asked for grape in my wine bar. And it's because I think when people think about red wine, especially in the fall and winter, they're thinking they want like one big red wine, one glass just for dinner. And Malbec is a very nice alternative to Cabernet Sauvignon, especially when you're not drinking food. So Malbec as a grape is, it was from Bordeaux originally, and it is planted in other parts of France, specifically in a region called Cahors. But in this case, this is Malbec from Argentina, and it really came into its own in this region. People are planting Malbec high up in the hills of the Andes, which is like really helping it develop its intensity and flavor. So this wine is purple in color, like a deep dark purple violet, has a real intense nose of like grapes and black plum and blue plum, and a really strong smell of violets. And then it has like this savory sage and delicious kind of baking spice like clove, vanilla, cinnamon. Just like your great glass of Cabernet, it's full and feels like warming and big, but the real major difference is that on the palate, when you finish drinking, it's not as dusty. It doesn't have as much tannin. It doesn't dry out your mouth. So it feels more subtle, more like soft and round. And I think you're gonna love this. If you haven't tried Malbec yet, this Malbec is a classic example that you're gonna love. Last but not least, we could not possibly do a video or do a pack and not include a Cabernet Sauvignon in. And if you like Cabernet Sauvignon, try this pack. So I really wanted to show you a classic example, but maybe a new twist on Cabernet Sauvignon from California. And this particular Cabernet is called Cardinal Rule. It's a Cabernet from Dry Creek, which is a region in Sonoma. So most of the time when we think about California, we think about Napa Valley Cabernet. So just across the Maniec mountain range is the Sonoma region, and you know, Dry Creek is one of those regions that's mostly known for their delicious Zinfandel. So I thought it was cool to include Cabernet Sauvignon as a grape in the real Cabernet, not an alternative, but really just like twist a little bit and try it from Sonoma, where it's a little bit cooler, not quite as hot as Napa Valley. So in this case, it's a little bit lighter in color than some of the Napa Valley cabs. It's like more garnet, a little bit lighter in terms of body once we taste it. But on the nose, you'll find like very similar to Bordeaux, blackberries, black currant, black, raspberries. This nose has so much green bell pepper. I really want you to say, all right, open this wine, go back to this video, remember that kind of savory green bell pepper. It's really, really strong in this wine. There's also cedar and mocha and kind of a coffee, roasted coffee bean. But really, it's all about the Cabernet tannins. Sort of a little lighter than you would expect from Cabernet Sauvignon, more like a Bordeaux in style. And definitely has that dusty drying. My mouth is starting to feel a little bit like dried out at the moment, and I'm gonna really love a piece of cheese. The cheese has fat, and cheese will cut through the tannin. It's a really delicious wine, but it's really dusty, so it's gonna be better, even better with food. Thanks again for joining us for the weekly tasting and our If You Like Cabernet pack. I'm really excited about these wines. I think if you like full-bodied wines, if you like that dusty tannin, if you like the black fruit of Cabernet Sauvignon, all of these wines have some version of all of the great qualities that made us love and fall in love with Cabernet Sauvignon. So I hope you enjoy these wines, and let me know your thoughts. I really want to hear from you on social media. Let me know which one of the wines is your favorite and what you're eating and drinking these days at Weekly Tasting, and I'm at Laura Maniec.